Today, we will deadlift. Deadlift is not easy. Deadlift is hard, which means it is not easy. While this is a hobby, hobbies are not supposed to be the fun. Grego, what is this crap? What are we doing here?
I don't know, man. These people seem to like it.
Well, to quote Hulk Hogan, that ain't gonna work for me, brother. So you want to learn the deadlift? Well, you come to a good place to do so. I'm Eric the Redbeard, and what the hell do I know about the deadlift? I'm just some J Brown in a basement. Well, when I was 135, I pulled 415. Now, I may not have any trophies, but I have a lot of practical experience. I will warn you, this is the #1 lift that injures people, and that's according to the NIH. So don't push yourself too hard, too fast there, Nitro. Take your time with this lift. This is a great developer of strength, but it's gonna take time to get to where you wanna be. Now, I actually paralyzed my right leg for 3 days due to poor warm-up, bad technique, and pulling a weight I wasn't ready for. And being unable to walk is ass. All right, enough of this flimma-flamma booty talk. Get down and grip and rip that bitch off the floor. Let's do this. Ooga badoogans. You live and die by the setup. Now, this is where we're gonna spend the majority of the instruction, but it is the setup that will determine if you have a good deadlift or not. Now, the first thing you want to do is park a bench close to you. Why is that? If you're in a public gym, this creates some personal space and gives you a boundary. And people don't have respect for personal space, and they will be nut to butt with you while you're trying to deadlift and they're doing bicep curls. Another thing is this allows you to sit down, okay? As soon as you're done with your set, you need to sit down. Think about it. You're taxing your CNS like you usually don't, and you're gonna compress your diaphragm. So if you're using a belt, take it off and sit down. Too many people go hard in the paint and they pass out. Now, I don't know if when a tree falls in the woods, it makes a sound, but I do know that when a human falls in the gym, it makes a loud bang and you can get a concussion. And funny thing about steel, it's got a way of winning against human flesh, and you can get a concussion unless you're a Terminator. But then why would you be deadlifting? Anyway, next is the distance of your body from the bar. I see a lot of guys, because I'm polite and shy and I don't stare at women in the gym, walk up and have their shins touch the bar, then they bend down, grab it, bar rolls away, and then they gotta pull it back. That's just doing too much. Those are the little distractions that take your mind out of a lift, and you have to eliminate those distractions. So what you wanna do is have the bar placed across the middle of your foot. This gives your shins room to travel when you get into the starting position. This was a tip I learned from Mark Ripito of Starting Strength, and it vastly improved my deadlift. Another thing I can recommend is the tighter you can have your laces, the better. Now, your shoes have to have a flat sole on them. Now, you can use a skateboarding shoe, a wrestling shoe, Onitsuka Tigers like I wear, Chuck Taylors, or even a weightlifting shoe. They're all great options.
So like, can we wear running shoes?
You know, running shoes are a really bad idea because they have a really thick sole and they're too soft. And what it will do is it'll give you instability in your ankles and knees. So I can't stress this enough. Flat soles, super tight to your feet. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you're going to want to bend down and grab the bar. This is another tip from Mark Ripito, is to have your knees locked. The point of that is it sort of simulates the distance of your body to the bar when you're at the top of the rep, okay? Now, if you don't have that kind of flexibility in your knees, a little bit of knee flexion's fine, you know, whatever gets you there. Now, the placement of your hands, you want them to be just outside your quadriceps, okay? Your hands are only hooks in this lift, and you want them to keep it out of the way of your legs. Now, you don't want to go too low or too wide because that'll cause your back to arch like this, and that's what we call a cat backing, okay? If you do that, the only result that will happen is a herniated disc or a herniated SI joint. Ask me how I know. The bar will want to roll out of your hands if you do a double overhand grip like this, okay? What a lot of people try is they try to do a double underhand grip because they're stronger. Don't ever, ever do that, okay? Because what will happen is you will get a bicep tear. That's hundreds of pounds of force on your bicep, and that tissue is not meant for that. Happened to a buddy of mine, and it took his bicep forever to heal. Now, what you can do instead is what we call a switch grip. One hand is in an overhand position, one is in an underhand position. Now, with each set, you want to make sure that you switch them up so you don't develop a strength imbalance in your forearms and grip. Yes, I did just tell you to not use an underhand grip, and here I am telling you to use one. What I actually said was to not use a double underhand grip, okay? What will happen is when the pull gets tough, you will want to row it. That's a result of central nervous system fatigue, which leads to technical breakdown. You got to think, that bicep tissue is too thin. It will tear. Maybe not immediately, but it will eventually. Now, when it gets too heavy for your switch grip, go ahead and put on some wrist straps. While you do want to work your grip strength, don't let it be the limiting factor for your deadlift. While I'm a big proponent of the leather style when working my back, I prefer the traditional style when deadlifting. I like that it locks me in tighter to the bar and distributes the force across my wrists and hands a little more evenly. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to tie your hands to a bar with wrist straps. I'll do that in another video, because that's more content, baby. Admittedly, I don't like using chalk. I've always put an emphasis on building the calluses in my hands. That's always worked for me. Most gyms don't allow chalk anyway, but if they do and you think it can help you, go ahead and try it. With that said, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get our grip how we want it. I'm gonna use a switch grip. I'm gonna cinch it in tight, okay? And I'm gonna get into a lower starting position, okay? Now the two best cues I can give you are for your head and your lower back. For your head, what I want you to do is I want you to pick a spot on the wall, preferably where the wall and the floor meet. And I want you to stare at that spot. Don't break eye contact with it. Reason being is you don't want to become visually distracted. Now, I do want to go on a little bit of a rant. Join me over here if you will. All right. Now I've heard too damn much that when you're deadlifting to look up, and that somehow magically trains your neck and upper traps. That is not at all how biomechanics works, okay? Now I'm not one of these science nerds that tries to over-engineer every lift. I do what feels good and I do what produces results. What will happen is when you go to deadlift and you're looking up and your neck's all tense, all you're gonna do is strain it. Really think about it. You're already under a lot of tension, and as soon as you go to pull, you're gonna flex it just that little bit and you're gonna strain your neck. And all you've done is you've blown up your rocket before you've even got off the launch pad, all right? It's not worth it, okay? Let's get back to it. Okay, the next tip I have for you is for your lower back. What I want you to do is I want you to spread your ass cheeks like you're trying to cut a fart. Now I know that sounds ridiculous, but it does work. Now I don't want you to pull them apart with your hands. You look like a damn weirdo playing with your butt before a lift, and your hands should already be on the bar. Just push your butt out and get it tight. You want it tight because it's gonna work in concert with your legs. One last tip before you try to execute the deadlift, right? You got your feet right, you got your hands right, you got your grip right, you got your neck and your back and your eyes where they need to be, okay? The last step is you gotta take the slack out of the bar. Now, how do you do this? You merely just pull up on the bar. That's the slack, okay? You hear that click? Now, don't try to pull up on it yet, okay? Now, this was a great tip given to me by an old gym buddy by the name of James Spillman, and the way he explained it was, think about it. It's like driving over a speed bump. It makes the movement less smooth and it destroys your momentum. So let's go ahead and put it all together and see what it looks like. I got my flat-soled shoes on. They're nice and tight to my feet. Now my foot, I'm gonna put it in place of the bar. Bar goes across the middle of my feet, okay? Now I'm gonna lock my knees out. Remember, if you gotta bend your knees, that's fine, okay? I'm gonna bend down and I'm gonna grab the bar and I'm gonna use the switch grip that I talked about earlier. Now I'm gonna cinch it in real tight, okay? And now I'm gonna bring my shins to the bar. My head, my neck, and my eyes are exactly where I want them to be. Neck is relaxed, but my legs and my back are tight, okay? Now I'm gonna pull the slack out of the bar. You hear that? And up we go, and just pull it up, okay? Let's go ahead and do that a couple more times, okay? Okay, now, once my set is over, I'm gonna go back to my first tip and I'm gonna sit down. Here, I can assess if I'm injured, if I'm feeling dizzy, or at the very least, I can just take solace in the fact that I had a really good set.
When would you recommend someone wears a weight belt?
It's a great question. That's why you're the Wizard of Oz of this operation. It really depends on their size and experience. For me, being a smaller guy, but I also have 20 years of experience, I usually do it around 225 pounds.
What would that be in kilos?
I don't know, Grego. I only deal in freedom units. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Look, I know that was a lot of steps to put together, But just remember, a big machine is made up of a lot of small parts, and that goes for any compound lift. So go ahead, try it, apply it to your deadlift. There's no better way to build lower body and back strength. So like I said, go ahead, put it all together, and go put up some big numbers. But you know, Grego, I haven't heard from that gym bully in a while. Chalk! Please subscribe, or the gym bully will force chalk into places of my body I don't want it to go.